The Abbotsford townhome market isn't crashing, it's correcting. Many townhome sellers I talk to are confused. I don't blame them. In September, Bank of Canada just cut interest rates, and these sellers were expecting an increase in sales activity and a buyer's surge. But instead, the stats for September tell a different story. Sales dropped by 12% month over month. The average sale price for a townhome dropped by 5.3% month over month, and buyers nearly have 6 months of inventory to choose from. In today's video, I'm going to walk you through the latest statistics and what these mean for you. We'll look at how the East Abbotsford, Central, and West Abbotsford townhome market has been performing in September and in the past 3 months. Let's start here with the sales to active ratio. As a home seller, the most important stat you want to pay attention to each month is the sales to active ratio. In September, the Abbotsford townhome market represented a balanced market with a sales to active ratio of 13.3%. In August, it was around 16%, and in July, it was around 12.4%. When we're examining the sales to active ratio for the last 3 months, we can notice that there hasn't been much of a change or increase in sales activity. Next, let's look at months of inventory. Right now, in the Abbotsford general townhome market, you're dealing with 6 months of inventory. In August, it was around 6.3, and in July, it was around 6.4. So what these numbers are telling us in terms of months of inventory is months of inventory hasn't really changed. Next, let's look at the average sale price. In September, the average sale price for an Abbotsford townhome was around $698,000. That's a decline of 6.2% month over month. In August, the average sale price was around $748,000, and in July again, the average sale price was around $697,000. And the reason why the price could be higher in August could mean that there was a higher number of sales in this month. Next, let's look at sales. Are sales going up or down month over month? There were 24 sales in September, 28 in August, and 22. So there hasn't been much change in sales activity in terms of sales. Next, let's look at new listings. In September, there was 64 new listings. In August, there was 61 new listings. And in July, again, there was 61. Next, let's look at days on market. The average days on market for an Abbey townhome in September was 25. In August, it was around 25. And in July, it was 21. So not much change there. Now let's look at the active number of listings. Right now, in September, there's 180 active listings for Abbey townhomes. There was 181 in August and 178 in July. Going back to months of inventory, buyers right now have 6 months of inventory to choose from. That means 1 out of 6 townhomes are selling and 5 out of 6 are not selling. Next, let's move on to East Abbotsford. In September, the East Abbotsford townhome market represented a buyer's market with a sales to active ratio of 9.4%. In August, the East Abbey townhome market was in a seller's market around 21.6%. And in July, it was in a balanced market with a sales to active ratio of 15.6%. If we kind of zoom out and look at the bigger picture, we'll notice that the East Abbey townhome market was in a seller's market in June, May, balanced market again in April, and in February, high seller's market, and again in January, it was in a high seller's market. And the main reason for that is there's a lot of demand for East Abbey townhomes that are priced right, that show well, but one of the biggest issues over the last couple of years has been months of inventory. Right now, buyers have 4 months of inventory to choose from. That means 1 out of 4 townhomes are selling, 3 out of 4 are not selling. In August, months of inventory was around 4.8. In July, months of inventory was around 4.2. Next, let's look at the average sale price. In September, the average sale price was around $798,000. That's a 6% increase in comparison to August, which was around $750,000. And in July, it was around $762,000. Next, let's look at sales. There were only 3 sales in September, 8 in August, and 5 in July. Next, let's look at the number of new listings. There were 9 new listings in September and 13 in August. And in July, there was 15. And right now, what this tells me is a lot of East Abbotsford townhome sellers that are either downsizing or those folks that are looking to upgrade are just waiting to see what's going to happen with the market. There's a lot of uncertainty right now with the economy, tariffs, so some sellers might be postponing their move until next spring. Days on market for our East Abbey townhome is around 18 in September, down from the 39 in August and down from the 36 in July. Another thing to keep in mind right now is the Cooper Meadows project that's being built on Macmillan. There's also a lot of new inventory for brand new townhomes that are hitting the market. Next, let's look at Central Abbotsford. The Central Abbotsford townhome market represented a high balanced market around 19.1%. In August, it was around 18.6%. And in July, it was around 13%. So what we've noticed over the last 2 months is market activity and sales are picking up in Central Abbotsford. Next, let's look at months of supply. Right now, buyers have 7.4 months of inventory to choose from in September. That's down from the 7.9 in August and also down from the 8.1 months of inventory in July. Next, let's look at the average sale price, whether it's going up or down. So in September, the average sale price for a townhome in Central Abbotsford was around $566,000. That's a decline of 6.4% month over month. In August, the average sale price was $637,000, and in July, it was $586,000. Next, let's look at sales. There were 13 sales in September and 13 sales in August, and only 9 in July. So that tells us sales are increasing. Let's look at days on market. Days on market in September was around 16. August, it was 21, and in July it was around 19. Next, let's look at new listings. There was 23 new listings in September, 25 in August, and 28 in July. Next, let's move on to Abbotsford West. In September, the Abbotsford West townhome market was in balanced territory with a sales to active ratio of 14.6%. This was an increase from what we saw here in August, which was around 10.7 buyers territory, and a balanced market again here in July. Next, let's look at months of inventory. Right now, home buyers in West Abbotsford have around 7.2 months of inventory to choose from. In September, it was 6.8. In July, it was around 7.3. Next, let's look at the average sale price. The average sale price for Abbey West townhome was $681,000. That's a 9% decline from the $745,000 sale price in August. And in August again, it was around $681,000. Next, let's look at sales. There were 12 sales in September, 8 in August, and 9 in July. Next, let's look at the days on market. Days on market for September was 26. In August, it was around 24. And in July, it was around 16. Let's look at new listings. There was 35 new listings in September, 21 in August, and 24 in July. The active number of listings for townhomes for sale in Abbotsford West is around 82. That's an increase from the 75 in August and a decline from the 79 here in July. So what we're noticing from the front lines of looking at these stats for the past 3 months for Central Abbotsford, West Abbotsford, and East Abbotsford is there hasn't been much change. Overall, buyers have been very reactive just because they've been reacting to the negative news regarding tariffs, interest rates, and whatnot. So in September, we just had our first rate cut. There is another rate announcement by Bank of Canada on October 29th, and the top economists in this country are expecting that we're going to see another rate cut. This is also to follow the US Feds that are expecting another rate cut. Right now, Bank of Canada's overnight rate is at 2.5%. Right now, interest rates are in a neutral territory. They're not having a positive or negative impact on interest rates or buyer decision making. But if Bank of Canada was to lower their key interest rate to 2.25%, then interest rates would be in a supportive category, which would positively impact buyer decision making. This would help stimulate the economy where buyers are spending more money, businesses are hiring more, and buyers could essentially qualify for a higher mortgage. When Abbotsford townhome owners are thinking of upgrading to an Abbotsford detached home, they're thinking about the things that they want and the things they want to avoid. That's why you need to watch my next video, because I walk you through a list of detached homes that you shouldn't buy here in East Abbotsford right now. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below regarding the recent statistics for the Abbey townhome market and how this compares to the last 3 months. My name is Dhindsa, and I'll see you next week.